Hello, I'm Sarish. I'm a registered psychotherapist. I'm also an IFS consultant, and this video is about what is IFS. So, IFS is an evidence-based psychotherapy based on the belief that multiplicity of the mind is a natural phenomena, and we all have parts, basically. And when I say parts, it's just different ways of thinking, emoting, behaving, and looking at the world. So, this phenomena that a part of me wants this and a part of me wants that about the same thing, that's completely natural. However, IFS then has this added notion that parts can get wounded or protective based on life experiences. I will elaborate on that further in the next slides. And then there's this core self that's within us that's not tainted by any life experience, any trauma. And our core self has this inner wisdom that can, or all the resources we need to cope with life, and that's within us. That's our core. And healing happens when we get to know our parts from ourselves. What are parts? So, parts are our subpersonalities and their present since birth. And in IFS, there's this belief that there are no bad parts. So, if we have a certain way of looking at the world or doing things, there's always either a protective reason or, there's a reason why. It could be there's some context why a part's doing what it's doing. So we can experience parts as emotions, thoughts, sensations, physical symptoms, or just a felt sense. Parts can get stuck in time and place. And so that is if there's any overwhelming experience or a trauma that happens, then a part can get stuck in a way of thinking and being or in a way of experiencing linked to that event. I will elaborate on that further. Parts also hold burdens from traumatic moments. So, burdens can be negative core beliefs, toxic feeling states, sensations, and parts can hold that after trauma. And burdens can also be in the form of urges or uh, really strong reactions. When unburdened, parts return to their natural state. So their natural state is flexible, not extreme, resourceful, with different strengths. We all have these parts since birth. And unless there's trauma or overwhelming events or a reason why, basically, parts will be in their natural free state with their resources and strengths. What is self? So, self is actually my favorite part of IFS therapy because there's this belief that we have that core inner wisdom that's not tainted by any trauma. And when differentiated from our parts, our self, energy is competent, secure, and self-assured. And self can lead our inner system of parts with its innate wisdom. So it can help with decision making, it can help with healing what the parts hold. Um, and also, if you're spiritual, then IFS will really resonate with you because there is this belief that self energy within us, our core is connected to the higher self. Or if you're religious, to the divine, or also to self energy in other people because everyone has that at their core. And then self energy in nature and animals as well. So there's this relational aspect of self. What are the qualities of self? So there's the 8 C's and the 5 P's. So for the 8 C's, there's compassion, really that capacity to feel what a part of us or what someone else is feeling and really being moved by it, curiosity, calmness, clarity, courage, connectedness, confidence, and creativity. And then there's the 5 P's: playfulness, patience, presence, perspective, and persistence. So, these 8 C's and 5 P's are helpful because you can start checking in and seeing when you're feeling some compassion or curiosity or clarity or courage, connectedness with others or with your parts within, or just confidence and creativity that you may be have access to more self energy in those moments. And it's also important in IFS to really like pay attention to how self energy is embodied. So that usually, when we're feeling really centered and relaxed, our thinking is clearer, chest feels expanded, breathing is deep and mindful, and body language is relaxed and lighter. Usually those are the moments when we're really like feeling our self energy in an embodied way. And also the last one I want to elaborate on is, sometimes if you're in nature and you're really like being mindful of nature and really there might be some awe that you feel, and that's just, the self energy within you, self energy in nature that you're connecting with, or you meet someone and there's this exhilarating connection, this calm connection, and that could be your really like moment of self energy there as well. Okay, now we spoke about what are parts. Now we're talking about parts get stuck in three extreme roles. So, like I said, when trauma happens or an overwhelming situation, event, incidents, or continuous overwhelming event situations happen, then our parts begin to get stuck in extreme roles. And the three roles are managers. So managers are those pro-social parts of us that try and keep us in control of every situation. They're making sure we're not making any mistakes or issues. There's no issues that can lead to hurt and rejection. And so firefighters, on the other hand, they don't really care about what other people think about us. They're there to react to control strong feelings at any cost. So they're just there to like put away the fire at any cost. And then we've got these exiles that really hold traumatic experience. So the pain and terror of trauma and overwhelming events and incidents. And because of what they hold, the pain that they hold, they're isolated from the system and they're really desperate to tell their story and they hold a lot of vulnerability. And the managers and firefighter parts are trying to like push the exiles away all the time. Here's a diagram. You probably have seen it online. It's a pretty popular diagram of a burden system in IFS, and it shows managers, firefighters, and exiles, and then self, the core in the middle. So I like this burden system diagram because it gives examples of what kind of manager parts we may have. So manager parts could be a controlling part or a striving part that's just always trying to keep on achieving so we never feel any shame, or a caretaking part that takes care of others so that we don't feel neglected or ignored, or a judgmental part that's always judging others, just to make sure, we don't we're not vulnerable in any relationship. We don't get too close to people who can hurt us. So, there's examples, self-critical, inner critic parts. Those are also managers. And then we've got these firefighter parts that are just there to put away the fire. So they're really like um, the last the last kind of straw when we're in pain. That's what helps us. So this could be a dissociative part when we're feeling triggered and there's an exile breakthrough, the dissociation kicks in. It could be binge eating, it could be addictions. Yeah, so there's all the examples that you can see. And then we've got our exiles that really hold the pain of the past and really want to be cared for and share their story, and they carry burdens from being wounded. So exiles can hold burdens of grief, loss, loneliness, fear, terror, worthlessness, shame. Okay. Now, the strengths of IFS therapy. So it really enhances this inner balance between us and our reactions and our behaviors, our emotions, our thoughts. It and really leads to a lot of self-compassion and this capacity to be with ourself, our inner system, with balance and harmony. And also, as we get in touch with ourself, our core wisdom, it acts as an effective leader and decision maker. And our parts are always there and they'll share their inputs with the self and just trust self-judgment. And so, as parts unburden, they also find their preferred role in the system, which leads to a lot of personal growth. As you know, our parts are not carrying these burdens from the past. They're free to invite in qualities, resources that can help them grow, that can help you live a life that is closer to your greater sense of purpose. And also, another strength of IFS therapy is that it really gets us connected to our inner core wisdom and this belief that our self energy is connected to the self energy in others and the higher self. And so we can live in this self connection, which is this a deeper form of connection with the external world. And how does healing occur in IFS? So I will make another video going through the healing steps of IFS. This was just about introducing what is IFS, but I'm going to elaborate a little bit just so you know how does IFS therapy work. So there's the 6 F's of IFS, which involve so finding a part, focusing on it, asking yourself, how do you feel towards it, fleshing the part out, understanding its fears. So basically, what the 6 F's are, they involve understanding, identifying and understanding parts and their role in functions and fears. And then we're unblending from the parts so that, we can differentiate between ourself and the parts. And then we're also witnessing the parts, which is this dialogue between parts and self. And that is where the healing occurs as we get to know our parts from ourself. And then also unburdening, which is releasing the burdens that are held by our parts. Then the parts shift into these positive roles, their preferred roles. And there's this inner self energy. So you'll embody more self energy, this sense of calmness and courage and creativity and confidence, and also be in connection with others, just this deeper sense of connection with others, with nature, with the larger self. Here are the references for this, and I will be making another video on how to use IFS. So like IFS, the beauty of IFS is it's an experiential model. So whether you're learning IFS as a therapist or wanting to try IFS as a client, it's helpful to kind of learn how to do it yourself and try it yourself. So I will make another video and of course there's so many nuances to using IFS. So I do recommend working with a therapist or an IFS consultant as you learn more. Thank you.